Good morning, girls. Welcome to course Microbial Toxicology. And today we are going to learn module 2 that is on tetanus. That is one of the example for neurotoxin. Tetanus is an acute, often fatal disease caused by exotoxin produced by Clostridium tetani. Clostridium tetani is an anaerobic spore-forming bacteria, and this organism is responsible for the tetanus disease. It is characterized by generalized rigidity and convulsive spasm of skeletal muscles. Mainly here, the patient suffers with stiffness and his body finally turns like a bow and it leads to the death of the patient. The muscle stiffness usually involves the jaw, that is lockjaw, and neck, and then becomes generalized. Minimum inflammation and even unnoticed wound in most of the cases. And here, the tetanus is mainly caused by the toxin produced by Clostridium tetani, and the toxin we call it as tetanospasmin. And when the spores of the Clostridium tetani enter into deep flesh of wound, they grow into bacteria that can produce a powerful toxin called tetanospasm. And this toxin impedes the nerve system, especially the motor neurons. So because of that, the patient suffer with the stiffness of the muscle and it leads to the death. The working mechanism of tetanus. And tetanus toxin on contact with central nervous system, this toxin transport to motor neurons. Here in this picture, you can clearly observe this is the tetanus toxin mainly blocks the motor neurons, and the main function of the motor neuron is it produce the glycine, and the glycine is a neurotransmitter and that binds to the receptors on motor neuron. Normally, glycine from the inhibitory interneuron stops the release of acetylcholine. If tetanus toxin blocks the glycine release, the acetylcholine continuously released and the contraction of the muscle will take place and it leads to the paralysis called tetanus. And this is the normal function of motor neuron. Here, the inhibitory interneuron produce the neurotransmitter called glycine, and whenever the glycine production will be takes place, it stops the production of acetylcholine. So that this acetylcholine are mainly responsible for the contraction of the muscle. Whenever the glycine is producing, it stops the production of acetylcholine, the relaxation of the muscle will be takes place. This is a normal function of the central nervous system resulting in relaxation of the muscle. But in case of the tetanus toxin mainly binds to the motor junction and it stops the production of the glycine. So, an inhibitory interneuron produce the glycine, and this tetanus toxin binds at the inhibitory interneuron, and it stops the production of the glycine. So that the continuous production of acetylcholine will be takes place, and it leads to the unrelaxed muscle, and this is called as tetanus disease. And the second neurotoxin is a botulism toxin. Mainly in this module, we are covering the neurotoxin. The first example I have given as tetanus, and the second one is botulinum toxin. And this botulinum toxin is produced by Clostridium botulinum. This is also anaerobic spore-forming bacteria. Obligate anaerobic bacteria, generally we can see this bacteria in the soil, which are considered to be most potent biological toxins known to man. And also, it is demonstrated that 1 milligram of botulinum toxin is sufficient enough to kill more than 1 million guinea pigs. It is one of the powerful toxin. And coming to the working mechanism, the toxin binds to presynaptic membranes on the terminae of the stimulatory motor neuron at the neuromuscular junction and blocks the release of acetylcholine. Because transmission of the nerve impulse to the muscle is acetylcholine interaction with the muscle receptor, the botulism poisoned muscle cannot receive any excitatory signal and contraction is prevented. This results in flaccid paralysis and death of suffocation. And here in this picture, you can see clearly whenever the botulism toxin attached to the interneuro junction, then acetylcholine production will be ceased, so that continuously the muscle will be in relaxed mode, and it leads to the suffocation and death of the patient. This is about the botulinum toxin.